On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Bennett and Mike sit down to discuss knives. Like all manner of knives, though. Combat knives, survival knives, paring, cleavers, skinning, everything. And I got a picture, I think I sent it to you, of my knife setup. And what I carried overseas is a fighting knife, which I carried the traditional KABAR on the first go. Did you have KABAR?
I still do, yes. I have the same one I had in the Corps.
Hell yes. Is it the black one?
No, it is a tan one.
So it's got the
leather-handed wrap, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so mine was leather also, but it was
so black. Not really tan, it's brown. So
yeah, that's badass. You got like the old school KABAR.
I do have the old school KABAR, and it is incredible.
Hell yes. So wait a minute, why'd you get that KABAR? Or do you have a traditional, like the little black bayonet?
No, I mean, we had the, I can't remember the nomenclature on the stupid bayonet that we had. But we got separate things.
Yeah.
So we had a KABAR and then we had a bayonet.
See, so that changed. All right, so the new KABARs, the brand new ones, they're Kydex handles. I want to say plastic, but they're Kydex.
Yeah, Kydex, right.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, they're plastic, but they're not Fisher Price. The hilt has a loop in it that goes over your 6-inch barrel and then a bayonet stud, right? It attaches to the bayonet stud.
Right.
So your same fighting knife you can attach to the end of your weapon system. Now you've got a bayo. Well, I wasn't issued that because my first weapon, I had an A4, an A4 with a 203 on it, which was just ridiculous. And it didn't have it had a bayonet stud, but I didn't have access to it, blah, blah, blah. So I got a KABAR. Saw gunners, and anybody with a 203 got a KABAR.
Right.
So
now, so the KABAR that you got, was it a bayonet as well?
No. The KABAR that I got was similar to yours, only it was black. So it had the leather discs for the handle, and you could feel that it was leather.
Right.
But it was black, and I wore it. Dude, it'll laugh so hard. I wonder if I can find any of these pictures. You know, the ex-wife goes through and does a picture dump. Yeah. So I'll see if I can find it, but I got a photo of me floating around somewhere where I'm just in my slick Interceptor vest. All I have on is that KABAR, a leg panel, and I'm doing the pre-combat power stance. Right? You know what I mean? Hands on an angle, up in the air. Bam. Right? But
so the bayonet that I had in the Marine Corps was the M9, that piece of garbage M9, where you could literally, once it got old enough, you could like unscrew the blade from the handle.
Yeah, it looked like a Hitler Youth knife when I first saw it.
No.
Not that one?
That's the M7.
Oh.
That's like the traditional black.
Yeah. The little guy that you get in boot camp.
It's like that's the one where double-sided, it's serrated, or it's not serrated, it's a blade on both sides. Like you're going to stick it in and twist the shit out of it and kill somebody, it's right?
Like short
the M9 looks more like a freaking Rambo knife.
Nice.
And they've got it set up so you can like hook it to the sheath that it's in and like cut wire with it and all that stuff. It's the dumbest freaking thing ever because I always hated this word. The tang is only like an inch long.
Right. Ain't cutting shit.
And like you stab that into somebody, it's gonna break off. Right. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Oh well, yeah.
Whatever, man. You're gonna break it off on somebody's ass. It's gonna break it. But then it's useless to you, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas in the M7, that's a full tang. Oh my God, you could tear shit up with that thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's so funny because those were modeled after the AK-70 the AK-74 came out with a full kit. So Kalashnikov back in the day modeled his AK off the Sturmgewehr 44, created the original variant, which eventually became the 47, in 74 when they switched over to the orange magazines and the varying calibers. He integrated a bayonet system where the sheath, you could use it as a wire cutter, but the sheath itself was also a wrench and could work in various ways. See, that's the thing about Kalashnikov, which I find amazing, or any of those Russian-made weapon systems. Like in the PKM, the cleaning rods are in the bipods.
Right.
And the some of the RPDs have them in the bipods. There are some PKMs, just because I'm a foreign weapons instructor, small arms. I love all manner of weapons, especially the ones that go bang. And some PKMs did not have charging handles on the outside. The pistol grip itself is the charging handle. So you get up behind the firearm, grab a hold of the stock, hand on pistol grip, and you charge forward and back. And now you've made condition 1 in an open bolt weapon. Fantastic. And those came with bayonets also. They came with like swords almost. They were like short swords, which is fantastic. Like if you come into my Russian, pause or whatever. See, now we already know all of this stuff, right? If you jumped in, you knew that you're going to fight somebody with a short sword, and we had our KABARs. So,
right.
Some of those knives.
The other cool knife that I carried in service was the MK3 combat dive knife. And the reason I know the nomenclature on it is because I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, I thought it was because it was attached to you all the time.
No. Nope. So it's, man, if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a mean looking little bastard.
Yeah.
And we used to always purposely break the tip off of it though, because it's got a really pointy tip, like almost like a scabbard, like a mini scabbard sword at the end.
Yeah.
That's got, how it kind of swoops. So we would purposely break the tip off so we could use it as a screwdriver too. Because this was really before anyone carried multi-tools. Like, what the fuck is a multi-tool in 1993? I mean, they had them, but I don't remember ever carrying one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we broke the tip off. Well, and also when you broke the tip off, it worked good for opening oysters as well. So nice. Multi-purpose knife, right?
Well, see, you wonder, you know what I mean? You look at dive knives right now when they do not have pointed tips for the most part. You look at dive knives and they have what you guys are doing. Like, that probably is in reaction. Dive knives today are in reaction to what you guys were doing anyhow. Like, all of these.
Because the SEALs carried the same knife. Everybody that did anything dive, amphibious wise for the most part, if you were, I don't know why, they would just hand, you know what I mean? They would just issue you this dive knife.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like any better than anything else. Like, I still had my KABAR half the time.
Yeah.
But whenever you would fin or anything like that, a lot of times you would have this. Now, my dive knife failed me horrendously once because I couldn't. This is a lesson in keeping your gear squared away, guys. I can't remember the instance behind it on why I had to change sheaths. Like my sheath broke or something, so I had to get another sheath from supply.
Yeah.
But nobody had maintained it. And in the salt water, it, stuff corrodes and, all that salt air. So the button on it to keep on the strap that keeps it in, there was an actual button.
Yeah.
Like an actual snap button, like old school snap, and that failed. I could not pop my dive knife out. I could not get it out.
Ugh.
And almost freaking drowned because of it. Because my gear, my waterproofing failed on my back.
No.
And it started dragging me under the freaking surf, dude.
Oh, no bueno.
So I couldn't cut my the hell's the line called? When you
Yeah, you're like
tied shit off to your dummy corded off to me. Oh yeah, dude. All bad.
Yep. Dummy cording can kill
bad
you.
on me. Bad on me for the fucking for not obviously not effectively waterproofing my shit. But I don't know what the hell. It turned out that my wet water bag somehow got a puncture in it, but wasn't like that when I packed it. But
no, right?
Shit gets thrown around, and that's what happens. So anyway,
sucks.
Yes, make sure you maintain your gear, guys, because that shit'll kill you. I mean, the simplest thing, right. Like a fucking button on the strap of my dive knife, and that was the only thing I had accessible to cut the dummy cord. And yeah, man.
Yeah.
I could not cut the dummy cord because,
Yeah.
And then my LCE wouldn't come off. So it was fucked. I was just fucked. I'm lucky to be alive. That's all I have to say.
Right. I think we all are.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Fuck.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I myself didn't live through a diving experience, but there are some times when dummy cording can be a help or a hindrance. There are other times where, I'll just share the story. So we were going down in Bridgeport. I was the 2-man on a line. The 1-man on the line to the right of me had a Prusik, right? And if you lose your brake hand, essentially, and you start sliding down on a rappel, the Prusik will heat right up, or it's supposed to cinch up and then stop you from a free fall. It's like, that's your belay. And so he's going down the cliff face. I'm the 2-man. My 1-man's already gone down, ran the line all the way out, and he's got me on belay. Well, this poor bastard's like halfway down the cliff face. I'm like, hey, bro, how you doing? He's like, just sketchy. So I'm like, when I get down there, I'm gonna break for you because he's my belay man. So I'll be your belay man. I'm gonna give you 2 tugs and then you're on belay. Good, right? Which is just SOP anyhow. Right. So I get down to the bottom, tell my brakeman what's going on. He's got to get the 3. I jump over to his ropes, and I throw it over my shoulder and break down hard into my stomach, right? So now he's on belay. Hey, Mal, you're on belay. He's like, okay. So, I mean, he's visibly shaken, right, at this point. Like, he could fall, and he, at this point now, has the rope he's not breaking himself behind his butt. Now, keep in mind, we're in full gear, plus we have all of our pack and everything else. This is a full movement down a cliff. It's not like we're slick hanging out Australian rappelling. We have all of our shit, and we're about to hump to the other side of the base, right? So he has the rope around him at this point on the edge of the cliffside. And he's visibly shaken, but he's getting his composure back. So he pulls his KABAR out, and he goes to cut the Prusik, and shoomp! That KABAR fell all the way from where he was, 100 feet above me, and sticks into the ground, not but 2 feet in front of my face. Dude, that if that was 2 inches my way, I would have gotten stuck in the back of the goddamn grape right now. That thing would have killed me easily. So of course I scream out to him, I'm like, hey, you got your pocket knife? Because it's SOP. You keep your fighting knife and your pocket knife on you, especially in Bridgeport, and that's in your gear. Yeah. And I'm like, well, put the dummy cord around your fucking wrist because you damn near killed me, kind of a deal. So he slices. He's like, well, what do I do? And I'm like, cut the Prusik. I've got you on belay. So finally he cuts the Prusik, slides all the way down. He's like, Jesus, holy shit, man, I almost died. And I'm like, yeah, and you almost fucking killed me. It was just like, dear God. Ugh. But thankfully he had his 4-inch on him. And so what we did is when we sliced the Prusik, we brought the one end of his line all the way down, and he had actually just kind of in his hastiness sliced through one of the ropes. It would not have held another Marine coming down that line. I'll tell you that much. Even though there's 2 ropes that are going through your carabiner, he would have gotten to that one, probably would have broken one of the ropes, and you can belay all you want. If that rope is loose going up through, I can't tell you what would have happened. Another one of those times, man, I'm telling you, another one of those times where you're just like, could have gone wrong, but thankfully we had the right gear. But yeah, dummy cording in that instance could have, been nice. So,
in that instance.
Well, and you'll see. So I took a picture earlier today because I got a few different comments. Hey, man, what do you use for a knife? One of the guys, Trey Caraway, who got his deer recently, him and his partner, Todd Fleetwood, they run Blue 4 Tactical. Great dudes. He's up and running, by the way. Like, you can get gun sales through Blue 4 Tactical. But anyway, Trey and I were hunting the other night, and he got his first deer, which is a beautiful doe. She was probably a 3-year-old doe, based upon her teeth and, you know, her maturity and other things. And so we got to skinning her and stuff. And he's looking at, I've got one of those. I mean, frankly, they're relatively cheap. It's just an old timer butcher set that I've got on a leather belt with my fillet knife on the other side. So I've got 4 knives at my disposal. And then typically in the field, I've got one of those M-Tech fighting knives. Have you seen these things?
I have.
So they were depicted on Call of Duty, which is pretty cool. But I've had the knife for a couple of years now. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great skinning knife, great field knife. I also carried the Tom Brown Tracker. I didn't use it as a fighting knife. It's a survival knife. It's not, you know, like the movie The Hunted, which is a fantastic movie, but
right.
So I had the Tom Brown Tracker knife in the small of my bat that I could draw out left-handed, and I could take care of any little stuff or poke or prod or do whatever I needed. I'd shave different things off, which is great for kindling in the field. You can use it as a hatchet. There's all sorts of stuff. So there's a picture you'll see in the comments section where I've got my Tom Brown, the M-Tech fighting knife, the fillet knife. I've got a meat cleaver, which is in that old timer, as well as the meat cleaver's got a curved blade on the top, which is perfect for skinning and getting all that silver skin off your venison.
Mm-hmm.
There's a skinner and a paring knife in there. And each one of my butcher blades, if you look at them, all have dummy cord on it. So, because I'm one of those guys. Slipping around in blood and guts, it's easy to drop a knife.
Yeah, that's bad. So the knife that I carry the most, and I use it actually to do a lot of, like when I'm hunting, to process deer, a lot of it, at least to skin the deer and do the field dressing and the whole, you know, whatnot. And then I get out the, you know, bigger guns when I have to. But this knife does me good all the time. And it's like $150 knife that I got from, for a gift. And I think it's called it's a folding knife, and it's actually it came from LL Bean, believe it or not.
Oh, really? One of their like signature series things, or one of their partners?
It's called the I can't even pronounce it, I don't think. It's like a Heladoka folding knife or something like that.
Very nice.
So it's like the HELLEDOKKA.
Yeah.
That's how you say it. And it's a folding knife, a 3.5-inch blade, but it's got this like handles made out of curly birch. So it's a wooden handle. It's a wooden handle knife. It's made in Norway. So dude, I love it.
Hell yeah, that sounds awesome.
And it stays freaking it's a laminated stainless steel blade, and that son-of-a-bitch cuts like a scalpel, dude.
Hell yeah.
When you've got it nice and honed. You know, and I've got a whetstone.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I don't like the diamond tool stuff. A lot of people swear by them, but I learned to sharpen a knife with a whetstone and a steel.
Yeah.
And that's what I stick with, you know, and have years. So once you start getting that sucker going, man, that son-of-a-bitch goes like hot butter.
Hell yeah.
It's badass. And 3.5 inches is like the perfect size, not because you can lay your finger on the back of it and just run. It's freaking awesome. I love it.
Hell yeah.
That's my favorite knife. And I actually have another knife that's like a 2.5-inch blade. So if I have to get more precise, and that one's got a wooden handle as well. And I got it as a gift from my wife's grandfather. And I don't know where he got it from the NRA. Because it's got an NRA stamp like burnt into the side of the wood.
Yeah.
Because it's also a wooden handle knife.
Beautiful.
Something about a wooden handle knife to me, I just like them better than synthetics or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The other thing about it is I never like if my hands get bloody, it's because they're not. I don't know. It feels like they never slip or anything like that. So I don't. But
well, you know how it is too. You get a little air on some blood and it turns sticky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it kind of helps. I don't know. Maybe the wood helps it like stick. So you kind of get this adhesion where my hand never slips.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking some of the antler from this last little buck that I got and doing a nice little like Japanese carpenter knife out of it. Because I found I've got this razor, right? It's one of those traditional straight razors.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this guide just tooling around online where you can get a limited whittling set, which is a whole nother conversation of knives, so to speak. I don't know if you've done any real whittling, but what I'm real interested in doing is setting in essentially a razor blade into a antlered handle.
Wow.
Well, why would you use this, right? Silver skin on deer. And if you don't know, if you're not a hunter and you're like, what is that? They've said it before. When you skin a deer, however you want to do it, I'm not going to go into the whole nine. You take out anything that spoils below the diaphragm. If you want to cut out everything, the heart, the lungs, the whole 9 yards, by all means do it, field dress. You get through your skinning, so all the hide's off, and now you've got it quartered. And what I do, because it's so warm here, I take all the hide off. I get the thing into its front, rear, back straps, tenderloins. So now you've got basically a carcass. I'll tear out the rib meat if it's not all shot to hell. Usually it is. I try to stay south of the back strap because it's one of my favorite cuts. The front shoulders typically go into stew meat, all this other stuff. So the point is, when you pull it out of the cooler, there's this layer of subcutaneous that almost feels like snot. You get that stuff out of there. That goes into the trash pile. Now you've got this glistening, thin silver skin that's resting on top of your favorite cuts of meat.
It tastes disgusting.
Oh, it's horrible. That's why people don't like the taste of venison.
Well, it's not just the skin, but it is the skin, that silver skin.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the subcutaneous fat just holds on to off-putting flavors. It just does.
I take off all the tallow. I take off all the silver skin. Dude, I'm telling you, there's not a single little thread of fat anywhere on a cut of meat when I'm done with it. And basically if there is, it's either a roast, like I'm going to do ossobuco or something like that, or like the neck is a roast. So, maybe some of the forward can be a roast. Typically, I don't do stews. I like grinding that up and doing various concoctions with hamburger. I think that it's a lot more, venison hamburger is a lot more versatile than people give it credit for.
Yeah, especially when you grind it out at like a 90-10 ratio between that and pork fat.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a 90-10 cut.
We're going to see how this plays out, but I've got a little southern recipe for these I'm dancing in my chair right now. I'm so freaking happy. I've got this little southern recipe that Trey and I are going to do. A little secret sauce. We're going to see if we can, how do I put it? Put some extra fat in there. So I'm eager to see what you think about those burgers. We should probably put some bacon gold on there. I would say,
Well, something just happened with bacon gold.
Oh, snap.
Did he just get, I think he's all raring to go at this point.
Oh, baby.
I think he's something happened where he's got the label, he's got everything.
Yeah.
And I think he was I'm not positive, so I don't want to talk on it. But bacon gold is coming quick.
Baby. Come on. Yeah. See, but again, though, that bone knife with a razor blade stuck in there, what I love is that little silver skin. When you get down in there, that silver skin is just I mean, it itself is paper thin, and you want to get right up underneath of it. Like right now, I use a fillet knife, but I'm really thinking that a proper razor should just slide all the way across all of that silver skin, leaving behind crystal, just, you know what I'm talking about. That beautiful red. Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
So.
Now, the one type of fat that if I can harvest it out well,
yeah,
I will, that I really will use for, that's annoying.
He's getting dinged, people.
Jesus.
We'll edit this out.
All right. So it doesn't even need to be edited. It's just real. It's what it is. So, is the caul fat. You know what that is?
Oh, yes.
That fat. Jesus.
Yes.
Is that fat that, that surrounds the stomach.
Yep.
Now, that is very usable, and I don't know why it doesn't really hold that off-putting stuff. So you use it to just kind of like wrap like roast or meatballs or anything, because it's that lace fat, you know. And
oh God, it's so
yeah,
good.
man. It is.
I'm just thinking about it. My mouth is just watering.
Yeah, man.
I'll never forget my grandmother pulling a neck roast. I grew up hunting, right, my entire life. My uncles still slay deer like it's insane. And my grandmother takes this neck. It's the first time that I remember her she takes this neck with her little dainty hands. You know, it's the roast of a deer. And I was kind of grossed out by it. I was a little kid at the time, right? And she sets it up on the butcher, and she knows right where the column is, right? Gets her knife down inside, pops the spinal column. Now you've got 2 columns per roast. She's got it laid out. Then she takes out that caul fat. And I about puked when I saw it.
Yeah.
Because again, I mean, like, this memory, I was 6 probably at the time. And I'm like, what? What is that? You know, and she's like, she called it fat lace or lace fat.
Yeah, fat lace, lacy fat, lace fat. You
like
can
that.
call it fat netting, caul fat, whatever, man.
Yeah.
I've heard it a million different ways. And my, in the Boy Scouts, I had a scout leader that used to make the best way to describe it, it's like these old school meatballs.
Yeah.
They're not like meatballs that they're basically meatballs like nobody's ever tasted nowadays, because people don't eat offal. People don't really eat liver. People don't eat the odd parts of the animal. So,
which are some of the best.
Right. He would take liver, like the heart, and then just regular venison, and chop all that up. Like he started doing it through a meat grinder, but
it can demolish.
It can. So what he usually like hand did it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he would wrap it in.
It's almost like a pate at that point. It's like
it very much so, and it wasn't like that done. But anyway, and then he would add a whole bunch of like herbs, spices, and breadcrumbs and shit like that. But then he would individually wrap them in caul fat, and then put them in a cast iron skillet and like just hit them real high heat, and then bake them in the oven. And he would do like this onion gravy thing. Oh, it's just freaking ridiculous, dude.
See, and that goes.
But it all the taste of it is different. It's just, it's all like minerally and.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, I think it's fantastic, but a lot of people just can't go there. But man, holy hell.
Yeah. It's almost strange. Well, okay, so what knife do you use to get out the caul fat? Because I have a specific knife that I go to for that.
Well, I have this really long. It's not long. It's about, I don't know, 4-inch blade, 4-inch blade.
Yeah.
And it's real thin though. And it's not, I guess it's got like a wavy blade, and I don't know why, it just works well.
Yeah.
Because it really works well with silver too.
Yeah.
Because I can just, poke a hole in the fat, loop my finger through and start pulling. And then it's just a real delicate blade, so I can do whatever I need to do with it.
Love it.
So you basically just get a handful of that stuff, and then you start stripping it off the sack. It's basically what call fat's coming off of,
Right. Oh,
so
man.
Anyway.
See, I asked because I've got this buck knife that my uncle gave me. I have an uncle named Buck. That's his nickname. He was born on opening day of deer season, so he was given the nickname of Buck, and it just stuck his whole life. Awesome guy. He taught me a lot about hunting. He taught me a lot about what not to do, which is fantastic. I would rather learn what not to do. You know what I mean? So that I can identify all of those mistakes. When in doubt, just stay absolutely still, quiet, and only your eyeballs move. Right? I mean, that he's that kind of guy. And yeah, I've got a buck knife that he handed down to me. Fantastic blade. And it's just that perfect blade for trimming in and around, getting all of that nice fat out.
Yeah, man.
Which what I like doing is searing and then braising a roast, depending.
Mm-hmm.
But then I wrap it in the fat and put it in the oven to finish it off low and slow. And oh my God. Excuse me. It's just, it's fantastic. Well, because deer don't have the same, you don't want to save deer tallow. I mean, I guess you do if you want to make soap.
Yeah, I guess there are people
like
that
candles.
Do, but not me.
No. So, I mean, you can do whatever you want with the tallow. I mean, and a lot of folks ask me, they're like, oh man, you're a deer hunter. Do you do everything, with the hide and the bones and the sin? No, I don't. I just flat out don't. And a lot of folks are like, oh yeah, that's a waste, to an extent. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm taking all of the cuts of meat that I could possibly get nourishment from. If there was another thing that I could do with the bones, like if I want to make a stock or something like that, yeah, I keep strategic bones. Other than that, the carcass, the head, unless I take jowls out or something, which, I mean, you can really only do that on the bigger deer. Like, you don't want to eat the cheeks of a doe. That ain't going to happen. So more often than not, that just goes into a burn barrel, and it's like, if an animal ate this thing right now, it'd shit it out and wind up being decomposed anyhow. I'm just releasing, all of its elements into the universe anyhow, and I've got all of its meat inside of my freezer. I'll tell you what's weird that I think of every once in a while. I can drop a deer in my backyard, and if I have enough time in the day, I can shoot that deer and have that deer in butcher paper within 4 hours.
Yeah, right.
You are a living, walking, breathing creature nibbling on corn. Pow! 4 hours later, you are perfectly butchered, silver skin gone, carcass burned, the whole 9 yards. Now you are meat on the shelf, right? And I'm of course talking to a deer in this regard. That kind of blows me away.
Yeah.
That it's, we have our little, human beings have all of our little things. Like, when I go, I don't give a shit. Just toss me out in the wilderness so that I'm, maybe I'll be of use. I'll be adding value to the woods. We don't need like a big, huge casket thing. You know what I mean? Just, it's okay. You do a funeral pyre, do whatever you want, Fuck it, eat me if you want to, I don't think that that would taste good. I don't know. This is me.
Right.
See, and I think that way because my father and my uncles taught me how to butcher a deer by showing me where on my body the cuts of meat are coming from. You eat a steak from a store, right? Hey, I bought a steak, blah, blah, blah. No, that's a piece of thigh. You're eating thigh meat from a cow. That's it. Unless you got filet mignon or something like that, and then it's backstrap.
Yep.
Right? Oh, well, I got hamburger or something. Okay, you're eating the shoulders of a cow. There you go. Done.
There.
Right.
Now, now the other thing, I fish.
Oh yeah.
And I carve up some damn fish.
Hell yes.
So I have two different techniques that I use. And the one of them, again, it's another knife that I have. It's a wooden handled knife, that's just the way that I like to do it. And this knife is actually from Cabela's, but it's made by Buck.
Yeah.
And it's a fillet knife. It's like a 6-inch fillet knife, and it just rocks right through. It's got a rosewood handle, and you just again slice through fish like butter. But then the other thing I've got is an electric knife. So we'll go out and we'll catch a ton of perch.
Yeah. Out
on the St. Lawrence River. And we'll just have perch dinners or whatever. So we'll go out and basically anything over 7 inches, 8 inches, we'll keep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I go through those, we have a nice, it's a real, I guess the word would be like a dainty electric knife with the double-bladed electric thing, and I can process through those fish, or just cut them behind the gills and run right down the backbone,
Yeah, fillet it out.
Boom, and then you flip it over and do the same thing. It comes out perfect every time. With practice, of course. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so those are the knives that I use for carving up fish.
Now, do you ever carve up fish by nailing them to a tree?
I never have. Now I have seen that done plenty of times, but I was always just I would put a glove on and just use my hand, and
right.
I have one of those rubber gloves that you can get a grip on the sucker with.
Yeah. So
yeah, and if it's big enough, it doesn't matter anyway. So.
Well, right. So catfish, what you can do is strip the bark off a tree, take a 16-penny nail, tap it through its head, strip off either side. You got fillets and you're ready to roll. On a trout, what I've done before is strip the bark off the tree, tap the nail into the tail where it comes up to the apex, but not necessarily the tail itself, still in that little corner of flesh, because it's got the 2 tendons that run down in order to control its fin, right?
Yep.
And then take off one fillet down to the gills, and then in from the gill, peel off the fillet, pull it out, flip it over, bam. Now do it again. So forget where I was at the time. I want to say I was in California. We were on some sort of one of those mandatory fun days. Anyway, I'm trying to remember who it was. There was a guy who supposedly knew how to fillet a fish against a tree. And I'm like, okay, I learned how to do this a long time ago when I was a kid, right? And this guy had a bluegill that he caught. This is a decent sized bluegill. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, Jesus, that's a bluegill.
He pulls a screw out. And a tack hammer sets the fish against the side of the tree with a bark on. It was a pine, right? It was like a jack pine. So there's just crap all over the fish instantly. And he nails a screw through its eyes and says this instantly kills the fish, and it's the easiest way to get it on.
Are you fucking kidding me?
He got one fillet out of one side of this bluegill and thought he was God's gift. And
dude,
he didn't even use a fillet knife, for Christ's sake. I was just like, wow, all right, this is interesting. That's fantastic. Meanwhile, I think we coolered back a couple of fish and cleaned them. Well, some of those trout also, why? You gut a trout and then that's it. Gut a trout, put it on, a stick or a couple of skewers or whatever. I've done this before where you build a fire on the bank of a river, bring it down. You bring it down to coals, right?
Yep.
Get a good decent little bit of smoke, but bring it down to coals and put your fish on typically it's like willow or anything else that is growing in and around the banks that you can easily turn into skewers. You definitely don't want anything dry, obviously, right? And the other thing that people don't think of is dip your skewers in water, or if you can, soak them overnight before you grill kebabs the next day, right? Just a quick little thing people don't realize. But yeah, I would smoke trout and keep fishing. So now you got a trout that's on there and maybe a couple through a gill line or under the, what do you call it? Like under the lip. We've done that before.
Yeah. And well, I mean, like the other thing I've done is without even like catfish, you can eat without pulling the skin off or scaling. So they're really good to eat like on the side of the river. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you literally just cut the head off, dig everything out, cut the head off and put them on a stick.
Heck yeah.
and just roast them whole. Or one of the things that I used to do, and I used to eat them like this a lot when I was a kid. So we'd take it, and whenever we would go camping, there was a place where we would always co-catch bullhead, which are just small ass catfish. But you get one or two of those, and you're good. Especially once you get them there. Or there's channel cats and whatnot that were there too. So, but we would bring like a gallon size Ziploc bag and then a package of Ritz crackers.
Oh.
So literally all you would do, I mean, you could use egg or whatever, but you didn't even need to because the fish is still going to be wet. So what we would do is literally just do what I said with the fish. Skin on everything, because once you get that skin nice and crispy, dude, doesn't even matter. So anyway, so we'd do that. We would roll the fish in Ritz crackers, and then we would have we had a cast iron frying pan, a little oil in the bottom, and just put the fish in there. And those Ritz crackers, man, I'm telling you, for the freaking catfish, that shit was awesome.
Hell yes.
It was really good. And you just eat it right off the bone.
Absolutely.
Same thing with like trout too. I mean, like salmon, trout, things like that. You just scale them real quick and you're done. Right on the side of the thing. Just put them on sticks and.
Right.
Yeah,
that's so many people don't hunt, don't fish because they don't know what to do with the animal or the, whatever when you get them. And that's the mystery. It's easy to go.
Ain't nothing to it but to just go do it, y'all.
Right.
Seriously. Right. It's the only way you're going to learn to do it is to go out and just do it.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it's like I told, I was talking to Trey the other night. And he was like, dude, I've been looking all over the place for somebody. Yeah, he understands the marksmanship aspect and covering concealment and stuff, but the scent, where to go, scrapes, rubs, how are they coming in? Do you bait? Do you not bait? If so, what are you using? What are your deer in the area? So that's just the hunt. Then you sit down. Okay, now there's a whole nother consideration when you're in the blind, the stand. Are you going to glass and stalk? Or are you going to still hunt? We're just talking about whitetail, and it's fantastic because you drop a deer. All right, that's great. One shot, one kill, over and done with. Now, time to turn her into meat. And that's the real confusing part. So it's fantastic. I like it because it gives me a chance to work with fellow veterans who are interested in hunting, who don't get it. And that's totally fine. Humble yourself. You don't know what you're doing with an animal. That's fine. I'll happily teach you because it gives me better practice from when I teach my children. That's the other thing. So I get to learn as a mentor what to not do with the kids. And I love it because my little 3-year-old will stand there on the cooler. It's the greatest thing in the world, man. We've got like trays of meat. You pull out a quarter at a time. You show him what it is. This is the back leg of a deer. See how it works, kind of a deal. And he just thinks it's the coolest thing. He's like, is that a deer? Oh, yep. Look, there's its face. When I'm like skinning deer, he just hasn't hit the time where that's gruesome to him. So he is just going to grow up around it and be like, oh yeah, just dad hacks up animals. yours doesn't.
Right.
You know, or your mom doesn't. Like, so I definitely can appreciate, when veterans want to hunt, I will help any veteran. I'll tell you right now, if a veteran wants to get in touch with me and say, hey, man, I want to come up, do some hunting, or I've got a great spot out here in, like, Wyoming, any of my buddies, you know, just saying, want to go hunt, like, antelope or something like that, I'm totally cool. Let's do it. You know, if you want to go hunt mule deer out in Idaho or something, let's do it.
So, like, back to knives. Because I cook. I do like 90% of the cooking in my house, you know? And really, when it comes to knives, you got to have good knives. You just got to have good knives.
Oh, absolutely. You got to
spend money on your freaking knives. Spend money on your knives because a good knife is going to hold its edge longer. And seriously, go out and just spend money on knives. Period. Because with knives, you truly get what you pay for. At least that's I found. So it's like in my kitchen, I've got Wusthof knives, which are, you know, I only have a 4 knife set, and everything that I ever need to do in the kitchen is done with one of those 4 knives, and a pair of kitchen shears. Mm-hmm. And of course, you got the, you know, honing steel as well. Yeah. But like 2 3-inch knives, one's a paring knife, the other one is it's like a flat cut paring knife because certain things you just need a flat cut paring knife. Then I've got like a 6-inch utility knife, and then the cook's knife. That's it. But the thing is they stay really sharp. Keep them really sharp. And this is how people like cut their fingers and have accidents because they don't keep their knife sharp. Right. That's the number one reason why.
Right. So, as oxymoronic as that might sound.
Right. It's because they're always like trying to push through and they've got to move, you know, their fingers get in the way because they're trying to, you know, the knife's not doing the work. They're doing the work. Mm-hmm. So, yep.
There you go.
So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll spend extra money on guns and knives and gear.
But I mean, especially knives that you use every day. Like people don't think about it. They just go to Walmart and buy this shit knives to use in their kitchen. When actually, you know, when you process through food, and I say process, but when you cut through food and do things in your kitchen in certain ways, when you have a sharp knife, it makes it better. It just does. It just freaking does. It doesn't make try and cut through a tomato with a dull knife. It just mangles your tomato.
Right.
You know, you don't get that nice, perfect slice. You know, I'm just saying, trust me, it does matter.
Yeah, heck yeah.
At least it does to me, because you want to, not only do you want it to taste good, but if it looks good too, there you go.
Absolutely.
And you're not doing that. You're not doing that shit without a sharp knife, period.
Absolutely. When you bring up a good point and wrapping things up, because it really is all about keeping them sharp. It's about keeping them dry.
Taking care of them too. I mean,
right.
Just oil and everything, man. It's just like you would do with like your rifle in the military or whatever, or, you know, anywhere, any gun, anything with moving parts, anything that you use a lot, or that, especially if you're going to put it away from storage, because there's guys that they only use their knives hunting season or whatever. So you got to pull it out and maintain it every once in a while.
Absolutely. Well, and that's it, right? You know what I mean? You zero your optic, and at the end, you sharpen your knives.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you that is, you want to talk about soup to nuts?
Because you ain't processing
zero to sharpen
without a sharp knife.
Yep.
You ain't processing shit, squirrels, any of it. You ain't doing none of it without a sharp-ass knife.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason why I put it that way is because remember weapon, gear, body? Remember that? Come back from the field, your weapon is immediately ready. You field strip clean it, you do whatever you got to do. If you get called down on QRF, you could go.
Right, and then clean your gear.
Clean your gear, right? So again, QRF. And then now you get the luxury of cleaning your body.
Yep.
So, you know, it's funny. It's like, I'll shoot a deer. I'll come in and take off all my hunting clothes because I don't want to touch a deer in my hunting clothes. And then I put on my flight suit. And then I run out, grab the deer, and process the deer while I'm wearing a flight suit.
Yep.
Go through everything, blah, blah, blah. Strip all the way down. Flight suit goes into the wash. I typically take a shower at that point. But again, my knives are clean.
The Dexter setup.
I do, man. I have a Dexter setup. You shoot a deer. I pull the car out of the garage. I lay down my one tarp layer. I've got my garbage bag or my garbage pail plus my hoist. And I gut them outside, put their guts into the barrel, and then drag them in on the other tarp and hoist them up. Then I chop their head off, and I open up their shoulders and everything else. Now, at this point, all of their innards, everything that would be quote-unquote disgusting is out of there, right? Except for, well, I can rip the esophagus out from inside, but there are some other cleanups to be able to do. Some people keep the head, some don't, whatever. All the wastables that is not the liver and not the heart go into the pail with everything else. Skip forward all the way to the end of the process. I clean my knives up so they're entirely clean. Then I hop in the shower. And when I'm done with the shower, that's when I go outside. Typically, I'll go outside and smoke a cigar, and then I hone all of my knives. That's my happy place.
That's the deal.
Everything's butchered, wrapped in paper, all
with
nine
yards. With the Verners or chair wine.
There you go. Hell yes. What's a Michigander doing in North Carolina? Hey, I wear Wranglers and I drink cheer wine. Okay, I love it here. I belong. This is amazing.
Belong here.
Hell yes. Oh, yeah. If you guys want to learn more about knives, by all means, feel free to message us. You're gonna see some knives pictures down below. Every knife that I own, I use. I don't have any decorative knives. I just don't do that. So by all means, if you want to learn how to hunt, if you want to learn how to skin, if maybe you do skinning a little bit different than me, if you want to mix and match, I'm always looking to learn. So if you know how to skin a deer better, or like cape a deer with a rock, you attach it to the back of an ATV and then drive away and it just rips all the hide off. Yeah, I know how to do that too. It's a pretty good way. So let's hear it in the comment section. If you have any hunting sea stories, so to speak, and you're a veteran who enjoys a good hunt, by all means, come on the show. So it's just hunting season around this time of year. Especially for the whitetail, I like to hunt year round.
We've done a few episodes where it's kind of turned into a hunting episode.
Right.
But oh well, that's just life, folks.
Well, and it's what I find great about this is the pocket knife. The pocket knife that I carry, I've had for years. I carried it overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Tom Brown tracker, I carried downrange. The fighting knife, I carried downrange. But I also had those KABARs. So, if I still have my KABAR, I guarantee that I would use it for skinning a deer. But just taking the hide off a deer? Absolutely. So a lot of that stuff carries over. Never got to skin any terrorists, though. I know. So if you guys have any knife stories, by all means, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you got a knife kill. That'd be sweet. That'd be good. Yeah.
I just remember Matt.
Right? Carried it the whole time. Matt carried it.
Matt Sanders trying to get a knife kill.
Hell yeah.
Anyway. Like they had a big thing, like who was going to get the first knife. That first knife. So, anyway.
Gotta love it.
Story. Oh. That's like episode 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hell yes. Well, folks,
I think Leo was in on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was one of the guys who was betting. You're a sick.
Pretty much, I think you're sick. You're medic. You're the medic trying to get a knife. Right. Shit. Anyway.
So fantastic. Huge thank you to Heroes Media Group. We are a proud member of the network. It's all veteran podcast. Check it out. It's Heroes Media Group. Also, veteranslist.us. Will and Rick have both been on the show. They're great guys, great founders. Veteranslist.us. If you're a veteran with a business and you would like to get a featured membership on veteranslist.us, you can enter in discount code Cigars and Sea and you will get 50% off. It should be in the comments section. We will be including our links or discount codes, all of this other stuff. So be sure to check out veteranslist.us the next time you're looking up a veteran-led company. So that'll be good. Also, huge thank you to Spartan Media. Jeremy Knopf is the founder over there. Jeremy's a fellow Marine, 03, and he did a fantastic job. Spartan Media, the company, did a fantastic job on our web presence on cigarsandseastories.com, and he continues to be of service and working on numerous projects. So that's what it's all about, man. It's a collaborative effort. We've got a bunch of other veterans who are helping us out. If you're a veteran who would like to get into the entrepreneurial game and, maybe just, hey, man, you're looking for some other veterans to commiserate with as you're going down this struggle, do not hesitate to reach out. You can get in touch with Bennett and I. Very simple. It's our first names followed by at cigarsandseastories.com. Mike at cigarsandseastories.com. Bennett at cigarsandseastories.com. If you'd like to send an anonymous message, it's just contact at cigarsandseastories.com. You can find all of that on our website. Thank you so much. Continue to post and share. Thank you. Thank you to our listeners. We could not do this without you. Bennett, you got anything else for these awesome people?
I don't.
Just keep being awesome.
That's it. Add value. Just add value, guys.
Nice. And on that note, we cue the music.
I will flag on front to